Hey everyone, welcome to Kentico Rocks podcast. This is episode number 24. It's actually a special episode. I have a couple guest speakers with me, if you will, in this episode. And we're going to focus today on GatsbyJS as one of the best static site generator technologies out there. We have someone special who can talk about that. And then how Gatsby connects with Kentico Kontent. And actually, just a side note, if you hear us mention Kentico Cloud, that's because that was the former name of Kentico Kontent, and it's been that name for almost a year and a half or 2 years. So it's hard for me sometimes to switch to the new name as they just rebranded about a week and a half ago. So I just thought I would throw that out there. But this is your host, Brian McKeiver. Obviously, I've been hosting the Kentico Rocks podcast for a while now, but this is really cool for me because I don't have to talk the entire time. I have speakers and guests with me that can help out. So I will introduce them now. Go ahead, Kyle. Why don't you introduce yourself and say what you do?
Yeah, my name is Kyle Mathews. I'm the founder of the Gatsby open source project. And a couple of years ago, my co-founder, Sam Bhagwat, and I, we co-founded a company around Gatsby. So now I run things here as a CEO. So my day-to-day is still heavily involved with like the open source project, but we're also working, on a number of kind of commercial products that will be kind of augmenting open source stuff. And just kind of, working with some fantastic people and a very enthusiastic community. And it's a great job.
Well, very cool. I'm excited to have you, and I definitely want to pick your brain about the whole how you managed to be a CEO, as well as hugely important on the open source project. But, one of those special people you work with is also here with us. Ilesh, go ahead, Ilesh. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, hey Brian, and hi everyone. My name's Ilesh. Known Brian for God knows how long, but really good relationship. My name's Ilesh. Obviously, I'm from MMT Digital in the UK, big Kentico partners, and my role really is involving around architecting and Kentico solutions. But I'm super excited about this particular podcast. This amazing topic about Gatsby and how it works with Kentico Kontent and how we can build this community going forwards.
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity. Not only do we have someone who's intimately involved with the open source project of Gatsby, we have yourself, Ilesh, who is someone who uses the technology, and then I actually use it a little bit over here at BizStream as well. So I'm very excited because I think we can maybe share some of the reasons maybe why you would consider using Gatsby as a technology. We can also talk about multiple perspectives of how Gatsby integrates with Kentico Kontent, because there's some nice stories there around the integration. But, I might throw that first question out to you, Kyle. If you had to explain to someone what would be the benefit of using Gatsby compared to maybe other technologies that do similar things or even different things, what would your answer to that question be?
I'd first say that Gatsby is actually really quite unique in the tech space. We're kind of what we try to be is like the presentation layer for websites, where we have a kind of out-of-the-box, really fantastic development and production kind of experience for React. You're using React for a website, so that you don't have to do anything to set up a development environment. You don't have to configure Webpack or Babel. Like everything has been like thoroughly battle-tested, across like tens of thousands of sites, hundreds of thousands of projects. But really importantly for kind of, working with solutions like Kentico, we have a data layer that allows people to write plugins to create kind of drop-in integrations with different data sources. So there's like hundreds of different data sources, and pretty much any popular API you can think of has a Gatsby, what we call source plugin, to connect Gatsby up to that. And so it's kind of a really unique project that, it's not just a templating language or something like that you do as the CMS or something, set up to build apps with React, but it's a full-blown like presentation layer to connect up to any content source that you want to build a site with.
Very cool, very cool. And I think that honestly, it's such a sweet spot for the technologies that both Ilesh and I use a lot, because we usually are more on the back-end side of things where we have a CMS or headless CMS, and we need that presentation layer to add into it. So Ilesh, maybe can you give our listeners a clue here or directions on how would they then maybe connect a headless CMS like Kentico Kontent with Gatsby?
Yeah, sure. So Kyle touched on it really well in the sense that you've got plugins, and the source plugin is so key. That's how I got my site, started and started using Kentico Kontent with it. And there's a particular one for Kentico Kontent, which is written by and hopefully developed by the Kentico DevRel team as well. And they're awesome. They basically set that up for us, and it's all managed on GitHub as well. So that's really cool. Once you get that in there, then that gives you a starting point on Kentico Kontent and how to connect those two together. Once you've got that in there, then basically, as Cal's mentioned, that you've got the elements of actually having React components within there. And then you've got the added benefit of using something called GraphQL. GraphQL allows you to kind of see and visualize the content that you want to serve up from Kentico Kontent onto, it almost allows you to build these mini queries that allows you to pick the relevant thing that you want on your pages, showing that across. Have you guys used GraphQL?
Yeah, we have. It's like you said, it's the way to connect kind of the dynamic aspect of an API or result, and basically make nodes in the Gatsby world. So I think that too, that was one of the technologies that I was the most unfamiliar with when I first started with Gatsby, because like Kyle said, it's a whole stack that comes with it, and there's multiple pieces. But I really appreciate how you guys have done such a good job to make the learning curve of multiple technologies pretty easy. I mean, there's a great starter template from the Gatsby GitHub pages for starting up like a blog or other things. And actually the Kentico Content Relations team, the development relations team, they've done another example as well of kind of a starting few first web pages that have a really simple React site that connects up to Kentico Kontent. So I think the contributions that both Gatsby and Kentico Kontent have made are truly a great way to get started on this technology, because it is kind of new, and I really enjoy it. And actually, the thing that blows me away with Gatsby is the behind the scenes. It's generating a static site, and the speed that you get from that when compared to other solutions that are maybe legacy architecture where there's large installs and monolithic components to get going, that take a lot of server calls to handle things and eventually return that page request. You can't even touch how fast that the static site is that Gatsby generates the results and how easy it is to push it. So I think it's a really cool technology, and we're starting to use it more and more. But actually, I would like to dig into, Ilesh, you mentioned you used it for your personal blog.
Yeah.
Why don't you say where that's at, and why don't you give us a little bit of the journey of how you actually chose and how you actually developed that solution? Yeah,
sure. So my site's at ileshmistry.com. I felt like I needed something where I've got, I can publish my posts on a company website, but I just want something where I wanted to try something new out. And in particular, I wanted to obviously try out something like with Kentico Kontent. So something we've done obviously a while last year really was we had the MVP Summit, which is really awesome. We had a hackathon at that point, and it introduced me to Gatsby, and that's where we got the first play on there. And since then, I've just been trying to think, okay, how can I set up a quick site on my own? And as you mentioned, Brian, an excellent way to start is to use a Gatsby tutorial on their website, the step-by-step guide that helps you to, get started using Gatsby, and all the little tools that you can use and the plugins and how you can generate a small static site, very simple and easy to follow steps. So that's my first way of kind of getting started. Then I obviously utilize the Gatsby source plugin. And then from then, I basically started to build my components up. And from then, I basically have now created a site, fully fledged site, hosted on GitHub, and obviously using something called Netlify, which allows us to build all the servers. And all of that's connected together without any DevOps. I didn't have to kind of get someone. Normally in my company, I would have to go and speak to the DevOps team and try and get them to sort something out. Whereas here, it's all done by one person very quickly, and so easy step-by-step guides out there. And also it incorporated things like webhooks on there to allow us to kind of build the Gatsby site quite easily on Netlify, and the connections between the two was very, very I feel like it's such a nice way to get a site running. And I look at my site and I look at some other sites out there, and it's so quick to click on different pages with Gatsby, and it's super, super fast. It's so exciting. Like lots of people are so like they're shouting about this stuff.
Well, very cool. Very cool. And Kyle, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say about the performance. It's like, I mean, that's one of the things that I thought was just like a really kind of big opportunity to do, is that, you know, so many other web platforms, they kind of sacrifice the user experience, you know, the performance of the site, which is, you know, the user experience is largely based on the performance of the site for other, you know, for other concerns. So it's like, you know, you want to have like dynamic pages or this, that, and the other thing. And with Gatsby, I took a really hard line, which was that, you know, the experience of the user is paramount, and anything that gets in the way of that or could get in the way of that should be, you know, blocked. And so kind of like how I like to put is that, you know, with a lot of other web frameworks, you have to work really hard to make a site fast. And with Gatsby, you have to work pretty hard to make your site slow, just because we changed like the defaults so far towards like performant, away from just sort of, you know, piddling slow, I guess, by default.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you optimize the heck out of it. And actually, there's another benefit too, right, Kyle? I think that you automatically get a solution for mobile sites that may or may not have connectivity, right? Isn't there another part of it that when you dynamically build into the static output, I think it gives you like a PWA, doesn't it?
Yeah. So because Gatsby's, you know, all client rendered once the site loads, by default, like especially like when you kind of have intermittent connections, Gatsby's like prefetching other pages in the background as you're looking at a page. And so even if you like go into a tunnel or something like that, you'll be able to like click around a fair bit on the page. And then, we also have a offline plugin which automatically sets up a service worker so that, if you return to the site in your offline, it'll still work, which is like a really cool, you know, piece of functionality that you can add to a site.
And this is like what's so cool about it. Sorry, Brian. This is like so cool about it in the sense of like there's so many plugins that will allow you to do different things. And Kyle touched on the offline one, which is what I would have probably recommended as well. That's like there's so many little plugins that will do little things for you and enhance your performance, enhance your usability on the site. So yeah, brilliant.
And I think that plays really well with the story that Kentico Kontent brings too. One of the aspects of their solution is that they have a responsive image API, because they too are concerned about, if we're delivering mobile sites, how can we make it easy for our marketers or content authors to really manage content in the cloud, maybe upload one large image, but those mobile pages can actually request a variant of that image. And I had a lot of fun playing around with trying to get the responsive images into certain aspects of our project with Gatsby, but actually our other projects as well, because the neat thing with Kentico Kontent, you don't have to use one web framework, you could use multiple. So I like how both tools really do focus on performance, as well as the experience too for the developer and for the marketer. And I think Kentico Kontent does a good job of that. Have you guys tried any of that out, Ilesh, with the responsive images?
I haven't personally, but definitely I've seen the ability of using that and the advantage of using those kind of things, because it basically allows you to kind of, you know, render out the image how you want it to be, and obviously serve it on the devices that you want it to serve on. So I think that's a great capability that Kentico Kontent provides, and it's really cool. Yeah.
And Brad, does it have integration with Gatsby Image?
You know, that is a great question. I actually don't know that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think like there is something, so obviously like lots of stuff is happening with the GitHub side of things, and I'm pretty sure that the sort of Kentico Kontent developer team are looking at Gatsby image to make sure that works with that. So we could see if we can find out more, and then follow up some links later on, maybe at the end of the podcast, Brian, maybe if we find some information on that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The page that hosts the podcast, I can actually add that as one of the relevant links. And the other thing I think too, Kyle, didn't you guys kind of recently launch the Gatsby preview capability as well?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. So we launched our first. So Gatsby is an open source company. So we basically our view is that open source projects that are like ambitious and want to have really great experience, that takes like a ton of investment. And so you need like a business model around your open source project in order to kind of drive the R&D and making the open source project really good. Probably, this year we're investing multiple millions of dollars in like, the open source Gatsby project. And the reason that we're doing that is that, yeah, we're going to come out with some like really exciting commercial products that will be, hugely appealing to, companies that are interested in using Gatsby for, kind of bigger projects. Anyways, yeah, so Preview is our first product that we've launched. It's an open beta now, so you can go over to GatsbyJS.com and try it out. But basically what it is, when you switch from like a CMS to, kind of this new architecture, like kind of Jamstack architecture, where you have like, headless CMS, and then you have like the presentation layer like Gatsby, and then you're like building the site and pushing out to a CDN and so forth. There's a ton of advantages to that around like the developer experience gets way better. It kind of like uses modern engineering kind of technologies like Git and continuous integration, continuous deployment, etc. So there's a ton of advantages there. And of course, like as we've been talking about, like the site is much nicer. It's like way faster because there's just a lot less moving parts. It's like you're not like building pages on the fly and hitting a bunch of databases and services to try to figure out what to send to somebody. You're just like, oh, we already know. And it's already on CDN, like 10 millisecond hop, away from this person. So boop, here you go. So there's a ton of advantages there. But if you look at the, kind of the overall, like what does it take to create a website? There's a lot more going on than just like developers and, people actually visiting the site. Because, there's the marketers who are, figuring out how the site should work, because they, generally speaking, it's their site. Like they're the ones that are kind of the product managers, if you will, for the site. There's designers, who are designing all the different pages. And then there's like, content authors. So any larger site has like a ton of content to be written. And there's a lot of people who are involved in, authoring, editing that content and getting it ready to go live. And yeah, so our question as a that we asked ourselves a lot is like, how do we help everyone's experience? How do we make the experience of building the website just like really hum and be really pleasant for everyone? And so one of those experiences that we thought that we could, really improve with our cloud product is the preview experience. So, if you're a content author and changing something, we want you to be able to see immediately what your change to the website is going to look like. And a lot of preview experiences, they only show you like one page. And we're like, hey, what if we just show you the entire site? So, because like when you're changing like a blog post or something like that, obviously you want to see what it looks like on that page, but blog posts get linked to from a bunch of different places. So, like, what if it's linked to from the home page? Like, what is that? What is changing the title on it or something? How's it going to affect what it looks like on the homepage or whatever? And because you have like a full version of the site, you can see that instead of just the actual, individual page. Another cool thing too that we've been able to do is we drive like instant preview. So like as you're changing stuff, as you're typing in kind of the input boxes, we're live updating the site. So you can kind of see immediately the effect of things you're doing. So it's kind of like with programming, it's like going from like this long compilation, step to see what the effect of code change will be to getting like hot reloading. Because once you go hot reloading, it's like super hard to go back, because like having that kind of immediate feedback on the result of what you're working on is really powerful and really speeds things up.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, Kentico Kontent has a notion of preview built into it too. And I think, Ilesh, you may correct me, I've heard that there's rumors that they may be trying to connect these two things together so that the preview automatically does the instant preview that you guys support. And I don't know if they're there yet.
Yeah, we have like a bunch of integrations. There's like 5, I think now, CMSs that we support, and I know Kentico Cloud is one of them that we're working on adding support for. But so it should be there pretty soon.
Yeah, like basically, I think the Kentico team have already contacted Gatsby, and like Cal said, they're on the motions of doing that. And once they have that, that's going to make a massive advantage for our Kentico Kontent CMS.
Yep.
It just means that they can see something rapidly there, and like you say, they've got the delivery API that allows them to kind of connect something up and show something on another page, but literally live updates, that is massive to the CMS users. That's just like a immediate thing, and that would be amazing to get that.
Yeah. So, I'm going to interrupt just a little bit because we're starting to run out of time, and I want to make sure we cover this next topic, which is one of our last things. If people are interested in learning about Gatsby or Kentico Kontent or other, there's a really great event coming up, Ilesh, right in your area, right?
Yeah, so basically we've got 2. So we're going to give you 2 things. One is, I think I'll let Carl mention the Gatsby London Day. So Carl, do you want to do that one first, and then I'll mention mine after that?
Yeah. So last December we did our first Gatsby Days in San Francisco, and now we're on to our 3rd, and actually just next Monday. So what is that? October 1st, I believe, in London. So the Gatsby company were distributed across the world, and so everyone. We get together as a kind of team to have some face-to-face working time a few times a year. And when we do, we also been holding kind of a one-day Gatsby conference concurrent with that. So there's still time to show up if you'd like, and we'd love to have you there. There's going to be a lot of great talks, just kind of about Gatsby general, and then some really fantastic case studies, people using Gatsby to do some interesting things.
And is that, if I'm trying to find that, is that information on a website somewhere?
Yeah, you go to GatsbyJS.com, and then it's listed there.
Okay, great. All right, Les, you're up.
Okay, great. So it's, I think, on the September 30th, Monday, September 30th, that Gatsby London Day. But I'm going to go to that, and that's going to be awesome, and awesome to meet the team and see what the presentations are like. We're going to also get, hopefully, Andre Christina coming from Kentico Kontent as well. And that'll be quite cool. He's going to be hopefully arriving to that event as well. But because Kyle was in and his team are in the UK, I thought something that can Gatsby do and want us to do really is to generate Gatsby events. So if you go to their website, I saw this on Twitter and I thought, wow, this is awesome, because this is like people should be talking about Gatsby and promoting Gatsby. And what they do is they allow you to promote and host an event, whether that's a lunch and learn, whether that's an evening meetup, whether that's a whole day thing, whatever you want, long as your content within that sessions are pretty much talking about Gatsby. So I took this opportunity and thought, if Kyle and the team are actually going to be in the UK, why not try and see if they can come to my event? So I've got an event in London. So if anybody is around in London on the 2nd of October, Wednesday, between like 6 to 9 p.m. We're going to have lots of sessions in there. Great opportunity to kind of speak to Kyle and his team. Obviously, I think something that's going to really drive people as well is the merchandise. Their merchandise is awesome. I've already got their stickers and T-shirts, but a great chance to kind of interact with fellow people who are interested in Gatsby, but also like touching on other topics, like how they use Gatsby with something else. And I think that's going to be awesome. So October 2nd, if you need a link, then the link is, you can go to bit.ly/MMT-Gatsby.
Very cool. Well, gentlemen, I know there's probably 3 or 4 more things we could definitely cover, but we are kind of running out of time. I very much appreciate both of you coming on. I think this has been great. As always, we would encourage everyone to go check out Gatsby. Actually, Kyle, if you had to tell one place for someone to check Gatsby out, what would be the one place you would tell them?
Yeah, go to GatsbyJS.org. We have a quick start, so it'll get you up and running. And Yeah, I think Ilesh, you mentioned this earlier. Just the tutorial is what we encourage everyone to go through. It's designed to basically get anybody with any level of Node, JavaScript, web development experience, through the process of kind of building out a basic Gatsby site. So by the end of that, you should feel pretty confident to go tackle more ambitious projects.
Very cool. And Ilesh, if you want to find out more about MMT Digital or yourself or even your blog, where would you recommend them going first?
Okay, so I've got a few links for you now. So obviously, if you want to get to MMT Digital, it's mmtdigital.co.uk. You can see all the information about them. If you want to come and approach my sites, then basically my site is ileshmistry.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Ilesh Mistry. And really, really, like if anyone wants to come to the event, it's make sure that you go to bit.ly/MMT-Gatsby.
Well, very cool, guys. And I'm here in Michigan, the United States, so I can't make it, but I would love to because I think they're going to be great events. And it really, I would like to thank everyone for listening to. This has been Kentico Rocks episode number 24, and we will see you all next time.